Well, hello there. Hot off of part 25, here we are with part 26 of Expedition 33 with the Therapist. So grateful to have you along for the ride. I appreciate immensely that so many of you are engaging with this playthrough and that you care about what I have to say about it. It's absolutely wonderful to have you aboard. So do leave a thumbs up, leave a comment, follow the links in the description, check out my other playthroughs, all that fun stuff. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And again, I beg of you, please do not post spoilers in the comments. Here we go. We are, I'm assuming Alicia, and we are in the exact same room that Mael was in when we found her earlier. So, this is very interesting to me, obviously. Now, it's going to be very interesting to see what's the context we're in right now is. I do love the music. The music is, so for those of you who don't know that are watching this playthrough, I also make music. You can listen to it on Spotify if you're interested. I have a loop pedal that actually has a function to do a reverse loop, and this is what it sounds like when you hit that button if you're running a loop through that pedal. So I mean, obviously that's an intentional choice, but it's also a very cool effect. All right. Can I go into Verso's room?
Come along now. I'm in Renoir's atelier.
Atelier. What a great word. Oh, that's some scaffolding up to block me. So the monolith with 33 is still here. Oh, look at that! It's the picture that was missing. Renoir. Look at that. So our boy Verso's got 2 sisters, maybe? Interesting that mom's like looking away from him. Verso. There will never be another family portrait, will there? Oh shit. It will always be missing. Okay, so we are post-death of Verso. All these paintings are like locations that we were in.
Alicia, quit dawdling. End of the corridor, you know where it is.
There's a painting of Esquier. There's a painting of Lumiere. Painting of the fire. Noko. And Monaco the Third. I was right! I was right! Yes! I told you it was a dog! I told you! Oh my god! I told you! Oh my god! Oh man, that feels good. That feels really good. Oh my god. Okay. Oh. Yes. Yes. They seem so peaceful by the fire. Ironic, given that fire is probably something that's very triggering for Alicia. Oh my god. I told you that mask was a dog. And so Noko was also a dog. Okay. Oh, that would make sense then why Monoko and Noko were so close. Okay, so then, all right, so now that really makes a big difference for me because that means that what we were experiencing is indeed a reflection of the manor. So that comes together nicely. So Monoko was a manifestation of the dog. Noko was a manifestation of Noko, the dog. That would mean that Esquier would be a manifestation of the plushie. Monaco Station being a train station is a manifestation of the train stuff that was sitting on the floor in Verso's room. And all of these paintings, I mean, is this like... I mean, this basically has like Super Mario 64 vibes. Where like, it's like, were we inside a painting? Like, you just jump through these and then you're just in, like you're in a painting? And so in that painting, I mean, that'd be kind of wild. Okay, but it's all coming together a little bit. So I'm not crazy that all of that is a reflection of what's happening in the manor. Clea's harp and Maman's piano. Verso, I miss hearing you play. I miss all the silly songs you wrote for me. How is this stuff floating? What is going on? This is so whack. What is it? Whoa. Dude, the artwork in here is so good. Right? There's one of the axons. I'm guessing that's probably another one of the axons. There's Siren. So in Renoir's office, we have axons. Yeah, these are this is I forget this is Visage. This is Siren. I don't know the name of this one. That one's cool as hell though. Supposedly there were 4 of them, so she's working on one. Okay, so oh my god, this is crazy. Ooh, somebody missed a note there.
Finally. Our little shadow is awake. Our parents are quite the stubborn pair. They're still fighting each other inside the canvas. He has her imprisoned at the top of the monolith, and she has him trapped beneath. It's a stalemate.
So it is Mario. I'm worried. They've been inside the canvas for so long. She can't speak, though. How's she saying?
They've spent longer than this in other canvases. It's not that dire. Yes, I know. Maman's been in there for quite a while already. And Renoir is wasting time in there, trying to help someone who doesn't want his help. We have more urgent matters to attend to.
He's trying to help somebody who doesn't want his help. Did you see Verso?
You're as bad as Aline. He's not Verso. He's a painted copy built from our mother's memories. You do well to remember that.
I know that. I'm not a child.
Roll your eyes at me, sister dear. I know you're not a child, but you're not grown either. And too many in our family have lost all caution and sense of late.
Oh, God. Oh, boy. Okay, I'm in a weird crossroads here because I want to speculate a whole lot, but I also realize we're probably going to get the answers to this stuff. I'm just sort of like, I'm wrapping my head around the fact that so Verso's dead. Apparently, we possess some sort of magical canvas that lets us paint things and then live in it again, Super Mario 64 style, where she can paint a copy of Verso. Oh my God. Okay. Oh my God. So, oh Jesus. All right. Oh man. All right. I think we've talked about this before, but this feels like a great time to do it. To go back into this, because I think this is a very important point just about just human psychology. anybody you think of in your mind right now, whether alive or dead, anybody you think of in your head is not that person. So whether it's your mom, your dad, your friend, your roommate, your cat even, it's not them. It's your version of them. It's your perception of them, which is incomplete. It's the biased version that you bring. I don't know the entirety of my wife's experience and who she is, and I never will. No matter how many years I spend with her, I can get closer and closer to an approximation of that. But you can't get there. I will never know all of the thoughts that my wife has. I will never know everything that she feels in her body at any given moment in time. I will never know exactly what perception she engages in, any of that stuff. I do know that there are consistent ways in which she engages me. I know that there are, things that she brings to the table that I can generally anticipate. There are aspects of her that are her temperament and all these sorts of things. But at the end of the day, even the version of my wife I carry in my head is not my wife. And it's not even the version of my wife that she presents to me. It's my biased perception of what she presents to me. This is the same thing with parents and children. You don't even know your own children fully. You have your perception of them. This is the entire theoretical foundation for what's called object relations. Is the idea that in your mind, and then also in reality, you interact with objects of people, not the people, the reality of the people themselves. And it's not about trying to get to the full reality of a person. It's about understanding the way in which everybody you interact with is an object of that person. So you're always going to miss the mark in some ways. So if you expect that somebody knows you, fully and unconditionally, it's an unrealistic expectation. Nobody will ever understand you as well as you understand you. So why this matters is because if what is happening inside of these paintings is that it's not Verso. It's his mother's interpretation of him, which means that the Verso that we were interacting with was the Verso his mom remembers and is progressively changing based on her own state. So if mom is depressed, she may remember aspects of Verso differently than if she's in a tirade. Or as she gets older and forgets certain things, or Verso becomes further and further away from how he actually was. So like the first time you paint him is probably the closest that he's ever going to be to what he actually was, because you have recency bias. But the farther along you get, the further away it gets from him and gets more and more steeped in what you're bringing to the table. So eventually that Verso is not even Verso. That Verso is what his mom either wants him to be, thought he could be, or whatever. And if the Verso in the painting has any kind of cognitive autonomy, he may know that. I don't know, after 100 years, he may feel like what he is not in line with what he was or whatever. And sort of maybe he has some self-awareness around the fact that he's what his mom wants him to be and not what he is. And so there's a lot of frustration and brooding around that, because it's like my existence is pain because it's not even me anymore. I'm literally a function of what my mother wants me to be. I'm not, or what she thought I could be, not what I am or want to be. And I'm slave to how she paints me, not to what I autonomously choose, which is a whole trippy thing in and of itself. The reason this is important, my friends, is because in the context of grief, what this also means is that Renoir and Aline are not grieving the same thing. They're grieving their versions of Verso in the same way that if I died, my parents would grieve the same person, but very differently because of their own different relationships to me, but also because of the way that I present to each of them, the things that they pick out and choose and remember and don't remember. So they're not even just grieving the same person, they're grieving a deferred perception of the same person, which further can contribute to some of the issues that people have when they're simultaneously grieving the same person, which is exactly why I always state very clearly upfront in grief that you should never compare your grief. Ever. Because you're not even grieving the same thing as everybody else. You're grieving your version of it, your object, your internalized object. And now in death, unfortunately, there's a cutoff with the real person. And all you're left with is internal engagement with that object. And that object in some ways becomes what you need it to be and want it to be, more so than what it is. In fact, this is partly where we have phrases like "don't speak ill of the dead" and all this shit. It's because if you speak ill of the dead, you're actually shitting on my internal object of a person, not the person themselves. Holding people accountable in death is often a lot harder than holding them accountable in life, because people get all weird about it and they sort of internalize their abstraction of that person even more. They don't have the real person to counteract some of those perceptions, or at least make an attempt at it. So if Aline is painting a version of Verso that she doesn't like, I mean, I suppose she could change it. Or if he doesn't present the way that seems to make sense, that's fine. Like, it's just so, it's wild, because it means that everybody, if we're interacting with, oh my God, it's like, no wonder they can show up wherever they want. It's just, this is wild shit, because we are literally interacting with, that wasn't even Verso. So no wonder Verso doesn't want to be there. But does that Verso have memory of the, like, of his actual self? Or is he literally just a manifestation of his mom? But then, that would mean that Mael's existence is Alicia without the burns, and is an Alicia that can talk, which would mean that mom maybe is not fond of the fact that Alicia is burned, which could mean that she's experiencing a significant guilt narrative around that, and maybe paints that flaw away from her in the painting. But then there is also the burned version of her. But the but the burned version of her is black and white. So is the black and white what Renoir is painting? Because apparently they're both doing stuff in there. Or are they like counter painting each other? Dude, this is nuts. Anyway, I got kind of away from the point I was trying to make. The point I was trying to make is that it's really important to understand that you will never have the wholeness of another person in your own mind, no matter how badly you want that to be true. And it's very important that you understand that incompleteness, because when a person presents in a way that doesn't match with your expectations, it doesn't mean that you should immediately fight that. It may mean that you can integrate that into a more nuanced version of them in your mind. And that you should be aware of your bias. This is why in like object relations therapy, when we talk about transference is often talked about as being a dirty word in the therapy world, and it's not. Transference is useful. Transference, by the way, is when you project onto your therapist things from your own life that don't necessarily fit the therapist. Countertransference is the other way. You get a lot of information via transference. And so transference happens via objects and all that fun stuff. A lot of stuff. But man. Okay, well, let's go. Let's see what else is coming. I just there's a lot happening here. This is a huge info dump. Can you help Maman?
Help her do what? Run away and hide? She's already succeeded there. Honestly, if Aline wants to numb herself in the canvas, then let her. Grief is no excuse. We're all grieving. She's a grown woman, and she was the head of the Painters' Council. She failed her responsibilities. I don't have time to coddle her. And before Verso died, she would have said the same.
Can you help Papa?
I already have. Aline is more skilled than Renoir, but I've tipped the scales in his favor. I have my pets in place. She who controls chroma controls the canvas. I can't take her chroma, but I can keep it from returning to her. Yes, that's enough. It's just a matter of time. As she weakens, Renoir is able to erase her oldest creations.
Oh.
With the exception of her obscene fake family. She's made them immortal, but luckily, they're also quite useless.
Oh my god. Wow. Okay. So wow. Oh, man. Okay. Jeez. Just a reminder, go watch my grief video if you haven't. There is not a right or wrong way to grieve. And grief is subjective. I know I've beaten this horse to death, but it bears repeating here. However, there are choices that people make in the context of grief that are on a spectrum from healthy to unhealthy, and that's relative to the context that it's happening in. So sometimes, I mean, people need different things in the aftermath of this. Denial is one path that a person may find themselves choosing in response to grief. And in this case, if we're talking about Aline immersing herself in these paintings where she can keep her family alive in the way that she wants them to be rather than as the way that they are, she's sort of avoiding her responsibility to real life. This is actually not unlike Inception, truly. Like, I mean, some of this feels pulled in some ways from that, of like Cobb keeping Mel alive in the dreams in this like complex that he created. It's sort of the same thing here. It's like I don't want to acknowledge the reality of what has happened, maybe because I carry just an ungodly amount of guilt or shame or sadness or whatever. And so I'm going to just completely ignore the reality of what happened and engage the world as if that thing hasn't happened. There are arguments to be made that that can be quite unhealthy, at the very least for your relationships where other people are trying to acknowledge the reality of what's happened. Like, Verso's dead. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, the reality is he is dead. So you want to go sort of like, if you want to pretend like he's still alive at the most extreme and deny his death entirely, that doesn't do us very good interpersonally, because now I have to engage with somebody who's not connected to reality. That gets in the unhealthy range of things. And so you have I mean, one of the traumatic things that happens sometimes with these disruptions in the system with a death is people don't really know what to do with equilibrium when that happens. They get so used to all the roles and functions and dynamics that Verso in this case fills. And when those things are now vacated, what does the family do in response? And some people bury their heads in the sand instead of trying to solve the problem or figure out what that means. Staying away from being in touch with the reality of a situation causes people problems in more ways than one, not just in grief, but in general. And so if that's what's happening here, where she's losing herself in these paintings, and she sees that as being the reality, it's like that Inception line when they go downstairs when he's going to fix the potion, and there's like 70 people downstairs in these dreams, and he goes, what, they all come down here to dream? He says, no, they come here to be woken up. It's like their reality is the dreams now. So this is pretty wild, because if mom is living in the reality of the painting, that may lead to more of a denial of the reality outside of it. And that in and of itself is starting to get a person immersed in their own delusions, for the lack of a better word. And the fact that they're both going in there and they're...
take care of yourself while I'm gone.
Oops. They're both going in there and they're in conflict about it. I guess what I'm really curious about is sort of like the ethics around if they're creating people in the paintings who don't know that they're in paintings. That is wild. Right? Like if Lune and Mael and Ciel and Gustav and all these people are just like NPCs in the paintings that are like dying as a result of that and have some level of conscientiousness around their existence, but not the context that they're in, that's freaking wild. That's it's like getting into Detroit Become Human territory of like, if the androids actually people, and should we care if they die because they're actually robots? I mean, holy cow, this is so complicated. You're leaving?
Don't be naive. The world doesn't stop simply because our family is in mourning.
That is true. And oftentimes, I mean, that's something that you'll hear a lot, is that your world stops, but the world keeps moving. And if you have an expectation that the entire world is going to stop when you're grieving, stuff can start to pass you by, and that can, in and of itself, lead to problems.
The conflict is spreading, and there are things I must do if we painters are to survive.
What? I want to help.
You will do nothing. You're too weak to do anything useful. You'd be a liability.
God damn. Okay.
The writers used you against us once before. They won't hesitate to use you again.
The writers?
And I can't promise that I'll make the same choice Verso made. Verso traded his life for yours. I both love and hate him for that. The damn fool.
Oh boy. There's a story there that I really hope we learn at some point. I'm gonna leave that one alone for a minute.
Although, if you really want to be useful, then enter the canvas and help Renoir. I need him back here sooner rather than later.
What? Wait, what?
I'll fight this war alone if I have to, but I'd really rather not. Can you handle that? Lest you forget, the only reason those two are in there is because your naivety cost Verso his life.
Holy shit! No, 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 no. No, 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 no. 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 That's not fair. I don't even know her that well, and I can tell you just from an objective sense, that's not fair. The reason... oh boy, we're going to have a real strong conversation about accountability here, my friends. Very strong conversation, because this is part of the shit that happens when people are going through all sorts of intense emotions. I will say this very, very clearly, and I will not mince words. Renoir and Aline are in the painting because they choose to go into the painting. I don't care what level of involvement Alicia had in Verso's death. Renoir and Aline are not destined to do this. They're not forced to do this, as far as I know. There's not some invisible hand that grabs them and throws them into the painting against their will. They choose to do it. If, in the context of grief, a person decides to turn to alcohol and drinks themselves into oblivion, that person is not an alcoholic because their friend died. That person is an alcoholic because they chose to drink in reaction to their grief. You, and only you, are responsible for the choices you make in the aftermath of things. You don't get to blame those things for why you make the choices you make. There is an infinite number of ways that Renoir and Aline could orient themselves to the grief. The grief doesn't actually do anything other than create an uncomfortable physiological experience. Grief does not make your feet walk toward the canvas. Grief does not grab your hand and make you paint things. Grief does not grab your hand and put it through a wall. Grief does not put alcohol in your system such that you don't wake up and go to the funeral. Like, all of these things are choices that are made. So for Clea to say the reason those two are in there is because your naivete cost Verso his life is not correct. The reason they're in there is because they chose to go in there. And putting that on Alicia, not cool. And if you're Alicia, you basically look at her and go, nope, fuck you. Mom and dad are in there because that's how they're choosing to orient themselves to grief. That is not on me. Now, if there are aspects of Verso losing his life that are on Alicia, she can take accountability for that. She can say, like, yes, I can acknowledge that I locked his door when the house was on fire or whatever. But like, I am so deeply passionate about accountability being misplaced in basically any situation. And so to say that is not fair. Could Clea be putting this on Alicia as part of how she's handling her grief? I mean, sure. Doesn't make it right, though. Right? We would say that's an unhealthy orientation to grief. We would say to take blame, right, and place it in spots it doesn't belong. Again, if her naivete contributed to Verso's death in some tangible way, which hopefully we'll learn more about, then sure, we can talk about that. We could be angry about that. But saying that all the things that follow are on that person, no, that is not true. And we make this mistake cognitively a lot, and it causes a lot of problems. A lot of problems.
Good. Go to the canvas when you're ready. And repaint your throat when you're in there, before you completely forget how to have a conversation.
Holy shit. So you can paint yourself. Dude, this shit's wild. Also, as a reminder, please do not post any spoilers or possible spoilery theories and pontifications in chat. There's a lot going on here. I know there's a mixture of people who have played this and they know what's happening, and there's people like me and others in chat that have no idea what's happening. Backseating and spoilers are not appreciated in any way, shape, or form, and that includes reacting to things before we know anything about them. So, just word to the wise. Please type conservatively as it results to that. Everybody here is dealing with the loss of Verso in their own way, and the interactions that result from that are going to likely cause tension, as in a way that I described in the last episode. But like, this is pretty wild. So now I guess we get to see how this works.
Lest you forget. Good. And
Holy shit. Yeah, I want to know what this painters and writers thing is too. Verso's childhood canvas, where we used to play. Where he painted Esquier and Monaco. And where Maman and Papa now fight. Leah's right. It's my fault. I should help fix this. And this is what happens. When people that are meaningful to you say shit like this, and you don't possess the developmental capacity to internalize it in a meaningful way, you internalize it inductively, and you take this on and say, it is my fault. And this is exactly what I mean. Alicia might jump into this painting in a way that's not actually in line with what she would like for herself, because she believes what her sister is saying. Now, ultimately, it is Alicia's choice to jump in, right? But when we're talking about children who don't have fully developed brains yet, this type of thing can have a very significant impact on the decisions they make, or the information that people use in order to influence their decisions. So, yes, it is ultimately on Alicia. She could say, or she could, I guess, groan to Clea and say, nope, not going in there, not helping out. It's not my fault. Deal with it yourself. I don't want any part of it. She could do that. But she's going to, I guess, choose to jump in. I do want to fix this. I do. If I can, Verso would have. Oh, my God. And it would be nice to talk and breathe again without pain, without my face being, not that it's the reason to do this. No, it's the right thing to do after everything I've caused. Enter the canvas. Not yet. Oh, my God. Oh, man. You want to boil down one of the, if DrMick was going to run a top 5 on things that facilitate unhealthy grief and cause problems for people, very high on that list would be something very simple, which is Verso is dead. That is a fact. He's gone. Assuming that that's true in the case of this, but let's talk. We're talking about like in real life. If a person dies, they are dead. You now have to decide what that means for you, and how you want to carry the symbolic version of that person with you going forward. And people have different ways of handling that. But when you run into this issue where people like refuse to fully wrap their heads around and grasp that the person is dead, and they deny that and try to keep that person alive in a way that is not actually real, it causes so many problems, because you have people that will constantly are going to come at you and say like, he's dead, Mom. You can't just keep jumping into a canvas and painting him to keep him alive. That is not engagement with reality. Probably the most common example I see of this is when you have a family member with like Alzheimer's who's losing their memory and their sense of self, and people just deny it. They just won't acknowledge the reality. Like, my loved one is not dealing with dementia. They're still them. And it's like, no, they're not. Their brain is quite literally deteriorating from the inside out, and the reality of that person is not what it was prior to the onset of the dementia. No matter how badly you want to believe that that person is still that person, they are changing. They are rapidly decompensating in a very specific way. And if you continue to try to engage what you wish something was instead of what it is, you're going to have a bad time. You have to play the hand you have in poker, not the hand you wish you had. The hand they have as a family is Verso is dead. That sucks. It hurts. It is incredibly difficult to talk about. It's super uncomfortable. We hate that it happened. And the reality is, it happened. He's gone. We can replay the circumstances. We can piss on Alicia for whatever it was that she did to contribute to that all we want. Literally none of it is going to bring him back. And the only thing that would actually make the grief go away entirely is if Verso came back, if he walked into the room. But painting an incomplete, objectified version of him is not that. Right? That becomes a proxy for the denial of the reality. And so, I mean, I'm thinking about cases where I, as a therapist, have sat with families and have had to say, guys, like, this person's not here. Or this person's not what you thought they are. We have to work with the reality here. We can't keep trying to jam an abstract square into a circle, into a real circle hole here. Like, we have to acknowledge and come to consensus that we're going to agree that, like, what are facts here are facts, and whether, like, how we orient ourselves to that is going to be different. We can work through that. But if we have to work with the reality here, Verso is dead. And so the family's kind of deferring views on that, or like their orientation to the fact that this is available to them is wild. I mean, this is like the analog that I can come up with to this in like real life would be if you had like a video of a person and you put it into a VR headset and just constantly sat watching videos of this person that you lost over and over and over again to the detriment of your everyday life, where like you're not going to work and you're not engaging with people and you're not eating and you're not sleeping because you just constantly sit with your VR headset on, interacting with this video, trying to keep that person alive. Like, at some point that becomes unhealthy. It's okay to like engage that every once in a while. It's okay to, or creating an AI version of somebody who died and interacting with that. Exactly. Like, it's okay to listen to voicemails to hear the voice of the person that died and stuff like that. That's part of the grief process. But when you start doing things that are actively detrimental to your reality, that's when we have issues. So, all right, in we go, I guess. See what happens. This is, god damn, this is wild. There's like a million things I could talk about here, but I do want to like play the game. So hopefully we'll get more information here.
Out of the campus, she'll try to return. We must hide the campus.
Well reasoned. And such a clever hiding spot you've chosen. She'll still find it, but I'm impressed. This only truly ends if you destroy the campus. And that means stopping the final sliver of Verso's soul from painting. See? That wasn't so hard. Wait, that's Aline's chroma. Stay calm. Don't let it take control of you. Calm, Alicia, or it'll paint over you. What an auspicious start. Well, you're about to be reborn in this world as one of Aline's creations. Have fun.
Oh, is this how Mael got made?
At least this will keep you out of trouble until I get back.
Ah, so that's a preempt. I'm guessing that's how Mael got made.
She's a girl. She's a girl. She's beautiful. What a lovely voice. My love, did you decide on a name?
I did. It's Mael.
Yes. Oh, my darling girl. We have precious little time together. You'll never know us. But I want you to know that you are loved. I want you to know you're not alone. You will always be the beautiful child I held in my arms. You will smile the brightest smile. You will cry iridescent tears. You will know love, and you will know pain. You will know loss all too well, because we live in an unforgiving world. But you are strong, and you will survive. You will struggle, and you will learn. You'll find people to call your own, and you will shine as their guiding light. For you will change the world, and the people around you. You'll forever be our princess. I have decided on her name. And her name will be Mael.
Alicia.
Actually, I prefer Mael.
I think I do too. But I'm not really Verso, and you're not really Mael, are you?
You're not Verso, no. You look and sound just like him, but you're you. I'm still Mael, though. You should have helped me remember.
Yeah, I wanted to, but I'm sorry.
I'm sorry too. If I'd listened to Maman, if I hadn't trusted the writers, Verso would still be alive, and you
Wouldn't exist.
wouldn't be caught in the middle. Maman did a terrible thing, painting you into Verso's canvas, giving you his memories, pretending the fire only took me.
Jesus.
I'm glad you exist.
Your father was right to erase everyone. It's better this way.
Better for who? Verso would never have wanted his canvas gone. He loved Esquier and his gestrels and grandes.
It was killing our mother. Staying here so long in a make-believe world with her make-believe family.
It's not make-believe. It's not. You're not to me. Papa's here. He'll help me fix Lumiere.
Will he?
Maman painted a rather unflattering portrait of him. He's much warmer than the Renoir, you know.
I bet.
Painted power pixels acquired. Power to deal more than 9,999 damage. Maëlle has recovered her memories as a paintress. Maëlle now has access to new skills. God. So okay, so Verso. Oh my god. All right, I'm just trying to put this together. So Verso is stuck here. Obviously. Because he's just the painted version of Verso. So he's basically expecting that Maëlle is going to show up. Seems like Alicia is basically indulging the Maëlle thing because in the paintings, Alicia is cared for and wanted and has purpose, because in real life, she just is subject to the ire of her sister and her mom, maybe her dad. And so she gets to escape into this in some ways. Jesus, man, I don't know. But like when she's dropped in here, she's painted with the chroma of her mom. So what we're seeing is not just Maëlle. We're seeing, I guess, like gray hair, meaning she, I don't know, turned into ash or something. Like, what the? Jesus, man. This is a trip and a half.
Your father was the one erasing everyone. Why would he help repaint everything?
I hid the canvas before I entered, so Maman can't come back again. There's no need to erase the canvas anymore.
He'll want you to go home.
I'm not at risk like Maman. I haven't been in this canvas that long. Besides, Papa has a soft spot for me. He'll listen.
Okay, so I wonder if the reason that the curator looks the way that it looks and why Aline looks the way that she looked was because they've been in here too long? Jesus, man. So this is all, it's all Verso's painting. Everybody in the family has a camp. I don't know. There's a lot going on. My head's kind of spinning a bit. This is a wild game to play in front of a live studio audience. I can just tell you that right now. Like me trying to put pieces together and like process the story and also connect it to like mental health tidbits and stuff. This one is this one's giving me a run for my money in a big way. that I can't really say any other game has so far, so I tip my hat to the developers on this. Okay, makes sense.
Papa.
Alicia. You're safe.
I thought I told you to stay home.
Technically, my body's at home.
Some of Eileen's finest work. I regret that it caused you so much pain. What Eileen did was unfair to you most of all. Please, accept the Descendre family's apologies.
Oh man, goddamn. Okay, all right. So Renoir being an absolute dick is because it wasn't Renoir. Because that's how Eileen sees Renoir. So there we are, right? Like, this is all messed up because, like, when you're in, you are subject. I mean, it's art, right? Like, you are subjected to the bias of the artist when you see something. It's sort of like when people look at the self-portrait of Van Gogh and they're like, oh, look how, like, you know, sad and whatever, right? Like, that's just, maybe that's not what he was like. It's just how he painted him. I mean, it's like when you see portraits of, like, presidents and shit, we don't have photographs to know if that's actually what they look like. They can be touched up. They're the versions of what the artist sees and all these sorts of things. Like, so if we're literally immersed in this world that is being constructed from the mind, the creative mind of a person, you're getting the version that that person sees. So if Eileen is seeing Renoir as this counterpoint or counter person to whatever her drive is, Renoir being an absolute douche for the first half of the game is not because that's who Renoir is. But here's the wild thing, friends, and this is why we talk in other playthroughs about the importance of a first impression, and also why you should be very skeptical whenever your first impression of somebody is what somebody else tells you, is because you don't know what a person is like until you actually interact with them. But if you don't know, in this case, that you're interacting with a painted version of a person, then you don't know that that's how that person actually is. But this is essentially would be like if you met Eileen at a coffee shop and you were talking to her and she was like, oh yeah, my husband's an absolute douche. He's this, and that, right? And you get her perception of it. You are automatically biased into how you internalize that. You will internalize and create very simplified objects based on what other people tell you if you, in the absence of data about a person. This is why people think they know things about celebrities. One of my favorite quotes of all time, at the very beginning of the Where the Light Is DVD or Blu-ray for John Mayer when he did this concert back in, I think it was 2007. He's driving in his car and there's a person filming him and they're talking. And he says, you know, one of the hardest things about being who I am is that it takes 20 to 25 minutes at this point to get people back to not knowing anything about me. And that is what happens when you get information about somebody from not that person. None of us would want to ever be subjected to that, right? Now, I'm not even saying that this is the actual Renoir either, right? Like, this is I'm guessing a painted version of Renoir, or maybe it's the actual Renoir in the painting. I don't know yet, right? But it's so important to understand the way that other people's bias and their own objects of people can influence the bias that you develop on the object that you create. And this is why there's an entire theoretical perspective called object relations. But, I mean, this is wild, dude. And Renoir actually, in this case, has a level of empathy for Verso, right? This is not a Renoir that looks at Verso and says, you're blah, blah, blah. This is where he looks at him and goes, dude, you got jobbed by your mother here. Like, she did a good job creating you, but man, this has caused a lot of pain for you. Oh, ye autonomous thing that inhabits this canvas. What a tortured existence you must have. Oh man, this is crazy good stuff.
I know it seems absurd to offer oblivion as recompense, but perhaps that's the outcome we both desire.
What?
I'm proud of you. Getting your mother out of the canvas was not easy. Once we erase the canvas, we won't have to worry anymore.
She's home now. Why?
You know your mother. Verso painted this canvas. It contains a piece of his soul. She'll never willingly part with it.
No.
For the sake of the living, we must part with the dead.
No, Papa. See, I hid the
She
canvas.
will always find it. This is our only opportunity, while she's too sick from her prolonged descent into the canvas to return.
No. Papa. Papa, please. This is Verso's only canvas. You can't destroy the last piece of him that we have. This is my home now. You can't just decide.
Your home? After all that with your mother, you want to stay?
You know how little remains of my life outside.
Alicia, you'll die. You've already been here longer than you should.
But...
No. Look at me, I said no. I am not letting my daughter risk her life. Alicia.
I'm not, Mama. I'm not going to lose myself if I stay.
I know full well you will, and I am not doing this again!
Okay, this is wild, but she already kind of has. Oh man, dude. Oh. I just have so much shit to talk about here. Oh my god. Okay. Oh. My brain is a tornado right now. Here's the beauty. Grief sucks. Grief sucks. Nobody wants to experience it. I don't know anybody that ever says, I want to grieve. However, there can be a beauty to grief. And what I mean by that is that, like, there is so much more choice in grief than most people ever imagine there is. Just because a person is dead, right? I sat there and I just said, Verso's dead. Verso's dead. We acknowledge that reality. It doesn't mean that you don't find ways to facilitate that person living on in whatever way you need them to or want them to. So, perfect example. I have my dad's handwriting on my arm, and I have my mom's handwriting on my arm. Neither of my parents are dead, but someday they will be, and I will forever have their handwriting on my arm, and that's a meaningful thing for me to have. And that will be something that I know that I will connect with when the time comes that I lose them. It's like they have their handwriting on my body. That is a way that I carry my parents with me. My dad's handwriting is in a phrase that he used to say to me, and my mom's handwriting is in the way that she signed letters that she wrote for me every year of my birthday until I was 21. So there's meaning there for me. You find ways in grief to meaningfully hold on to people and let them live on. When I've been talking about how you carry an imperfect, not fully realized version of a person in a form of an object, it can sound like that's a bad thing. It's not. It's just the reality of the human brain's limitations and just kind of the limitations of existence. It's okay to carry objects of people. And we have trinkets, symbols, we have ways that we do that. But you also don't have to clutch onto those things in such a way that you're so worried about forgetting or not carrying them on that you almost like disrupt the fabric of your life by continuously trying to inject those trinkets in, where you make the objects of grief and that person living on a huge part of your continued identity. Where, like, I have, in this case, right, we have a canvas that Verso painted on that is causing a lot of problems, including pain in the one physical manifestation of him that we have left. We, for our own purposes, for our own comfort, carry Verso on in a way that he is deeply uncomfortable with and depressed by because it makes us feel good. We keep this canvas around because if we destroy this canvas, it's the last thing we have left of him. That's not true. There are other ways to carry Verso on. You can have photos in the manor. You can have days of remembrance. You can have his Esquier plushie in a little thing on the mantle. There's all sorts of ways that you can do that. And unfortunately, I think what's possibly happening here in this family, which also happens in real life, is that by keeping Verso alive in this canvas, you are also keeping your disdain for Alicia, which is probably why Alicia wants to continue to be Mael in these paintings. She's like, yo, my life sucks ass out here. Every time mom comes out of a painting, she's reminded that Verso's dead and wants to go back in. Her and Cleo look at me like I'm the reason that all this happened and I'm this piece of shit and I can't talk and I don't have a face. And for as long as they can jump back into these paintings and keep Verso alive, it holds on to the fact that, like, this is my fault. They don't work through their shit that they have associated with me. So this painting being destroyed means that, yeah, Alicia can't escape into the painting and have a voice and be somebody that she's, you know, recognized and powerful and all these sorts of things. But also, like, that's when I say that she's already losing herself in it by virtue of the fact that she's saying, no, we have to hold on to this painting, and no, I can do it. I can do hard drugs recreationally and do it safely in my grief. Like, no, not really. Because if you're causing danger to yourself and others by engaging in this and kind of running away from the reality of what happened, what's happening is the entire family is facilitating avoidance. The entire family is like unwilling to take on the reality of their situation and keeps diving into these paintings and living out this fantasy world where the grief thing never happened. But it's inadvertently hurting the one like person, and really I guess the family itself, that like was involved in this. They're perpetuating their pain by keeping this stuff around. So this is like, while this has temporary catharsis, it's creating long-term issue. It's creating long-term disruption of the system. This is wild.
No! Papa, what are you...
It's time to go home.
Verso, come on. Come on.
Oh, man. And then, oh, God. And then they employ Verso's comforts to try to manipulate him into staying. Let's bring his dog and his stuffy, things that make him feel good and comfy and familiar, so that we can perpetuate the continuity of this thing that we're using to try to process our grief. That's... oh, man. Again, it's like Verso being the person with locked-in syndrome that's like, just let me die. Pull the plug, please. And they just won't do it. No, but here, we'll put a TV with football on it because we know you love football, so you can watch football while you're locked in. I mean, that's... oh, man. I don't know. It's just that really just hit me. It's like you have these big manifestations of comforts for Verso, and they're all in the spirit of getting him to like want to go on with this. He very much is like, I don't want to do this anymore. Oh my goodness gracious. And you know, God, yeah, I mean, here's, I guess what, oh man, here's what I'm struggling with though. Is again, it's like, it's not Verso, right? Like it's a part of like Verso's soul, I guess, but it's like, whose chroma, I guess, is he in right now? Like, is this Renoir's version where Renoir wants Verso to be a person who wants to die so that we actually can end this thing? Oh God, see, now we're going to another level, right? If Renoir is trying to paint a version of Verso, he would want to paint a version of Verso that's brooding and says, I want to die and I want this to end, because if Renoir wants this to be over, then maybe the only way that you can get Alicia and Aline to agree to terminate this would be to have them see that Verso wants to die. Because I would imagine that Aline would have a version of Verso that would be really happy to be here and would be excited to engage with everybody. To what extent does the Verso that occupies this painting have his own autonomy? Because if he's actually autonomous and wants to die, that's a whole other thing. Or is this a version of Verso that's painted, I guess, with Aline's chroma? Or Aline but if it is, then Aline is able to empathize with the fact that Verso doesn't necessarily want to be here. But like, it really seems to me that like Verso's not thrilled with his existence in the first place. And again, I'm asking rhetorical questions, chat, so don't answer them. I'm just trying to fight my way through this. I'm not actually interested in getting information about what's happening. I'm just trying to figure this out on my own here. I just can't get over the fact that we have people, like the person who is losing out in this entire process is the person who's the locus of the grief existing in the first place. That like, Everybody is so enveloped in making the grief about themselves that they're forgetting that if there is an actual existence of the person they're grieving, they're not even listening to him because they're overriding his desires with their own shit. Everybody's just making this about them. So the push-pull here, theoretically, it would be nice if the entire family would show up and look at Verso and go, hey, buddy, as the last remaining part of your soul existing in this painting, do you want to be here? Or how do you want this to go down? Perhaps as a family, we can say goodbye together. We can have this actual moment with painted version of Verso. It's no different than like an empty chair technique with a therapist where we put the dead person in a chair and we face everybody toward them. And we work as a family. We talk about what we miss, what we're going to miss, what we loved. We go through this as a group. And we say, all right, my guy, this sucks ass, but we know you're dead, and we know that you, sliver of you, doesn't want to be here anymore. And so as a family, we can respect your wishes because it's you who can make the decision on this. If you want to stick around and have us come visit in the painting every once in a while, we'll do it. But if you're ready to go, we'll let you go. And we as a family will work with each other to remember you in a way that's meaningful. But nobody's doing that. Everybody's worried about what they think Verso would want, what their perception of him is, what they want, what feels good for them, all this stuff. They're making it about them. And so this is just an absolutely beautiful representation of a terrible way for a family to grieve. And this is the big old nasty yarn ball that, as a therapist, we have to untangle. If we're working with families in the context of grief. But this is the kind of shit. This is what happens, man. Like this is I really love the way that all of this is being represented in this way because it gives us a chance to talk about this. And I'm just gonna pop this in really quickly here is like if you're really liking some of these conversations that we're having about grief, I deeply encourage you to watch the Silent Hill 2 playthrough that I did as well. Because there's an entire other angle on grief that we sort of tackle in a very deep way in that playthrough. And so if you're like, I'm not trying to just, shamelessly self-plug here, but that playthrough in parallel with this one is, I think, a really good way to try to capture all of what grief can be and sort of the difficult ways that we navigate it. But this is just not great because Verso, the person that's being grieved is the one that's like losing out in this because there's an actual physical representation of it. Wild shit. No way. Back at camp?
So easily. What am I doing wrong?
Don't be discouraged. It's only been a day since you remembered your painter's side.
We believe in you.
Remember them. Painting isn't about verisimilitude.
Great word.
It's about essence. Truth of who they are.
Using the word verisimilitude in this game Big gold star for me. I love that word. I'm so happy that I just got to hear that word today. I haven't heard that word in a while. God, what a wonderful word.
Your father made the axons, right? She who plays with wonder, he who guards truth with lies. They're the essence of your mother and your brother.
Get out of here.
How did we Gommaged? Well, your hair.
We have much to talk about.
So you were her daughter? And you were a paintress too?
So cool, right?
And you knew this whole time! You fucking coward! You betrayed us! We trusted
You can bring them back too. Yeah? Everyone we've lost.
Yeah, but I need chroma and Papa controls all the chroma in the canvas.
No. Not all of it. The expeditioners. The ones killed by Nevrons. Gustave noticed their chroma remains in their bodies. They never dissipated. Like the Gommage.
It's old chroma and not pure. It won't be like bringing the two of you back, but we could use it in other ways.
Time for the greatest expedition in history.
What? Oh my god. Okay. So Esquier and Minoko, and I guess Verso, are constants in some way because this is Verso's canvas. So you quite literally have Verso's parents and sister going into his canvas and painting their own shit into it as a means to satiate their desire to have him continue to exist. Yet in doing so, they're not actually investing in his canvas. They are in some ways overriding it with their own shit and their own desires, which has very much a beginner's guide vibe to it. This is the kind of, I'm going to plug another playthrough. You should watch the beginner's guide playthrough that I did, because we kind of talk about that. and you're able to bring back these like NPC characters that exist in these paintings. Like now it's like, who the hell are Lune and CL? Like, are they just random ass people that get painted into this community? Are they people that are painted from the memories of the people who handle these paintings? But we're in a goddamn painting right now. There are so many allegories in here. Kind of interesting because it's sort of the idea of, I mean, there's even some like religious aspects to this. Because if you take the painting as being this world that exists where there's life and there's consciousness, and then you are in it and don't understand the cosmos that you're embedded in. Like, this is essentially Lune and CL learning anything from Alicia and Verso here is essentially like people being like, hi, I actually know God. Like, I have talked to God. I know what God is doing up there. I know the nature of existence because I've talked to the actual creator. So all of this is God's will in some ways, right? Like, these people existed in some ways, like wondering what this is all about. And so many people want to have the answer about what this is all about. And now it's like, okay, like, would we actually love it? Would we love it if we found out God's real and this is what he came up with? Like, wait a second. You're telling me God actually exists. He's up there and we have childhood cancer and we have murder and famine. What are you doing up there? It's like that. We have our loved ones die every year. We live in a world where shit's destroyed. Children lose their parents. And you're telling me that my entire existence as like a conscious person is because there's two parents and a sister that refuse to acknowledge the reality of the death of a guy who they've painted into this space? I don't know if I'm them that I want that answer. I don't know that I want to know that. Like, really? You created this? This is what my life is? Like, we all kind of talk about how, like, we want to know what the purpose of the universe is, but arguably not knowing the purpose of the universe gives us all the autonomy to try to decide what the purpose of our existence is. And so, like, there's even a million existential questions here. Like, you could have painted anything, and you painted the Eiffel Tower with limp dick, and you make my parents die when I was 10? This could have been utopia. You have that much power, and that's what you chose? Oh. It's wild, dude. You're telling me that at any point in time, people can be brought back from the dead? You kill them all and you don't bring them back, even though we have feelings? Dude, it's nuts. Like, if I'm Lune, of course I'm mad. If I'm Lune and CL, I'm like, holy shit. I mean, it really is wild. It truly, I mean, it's like, this game it's really a great existential representation. Do you actually want to know what's out there? Or is it better to just focus on what you control? Is it better to sort of acknowledge that maybe you won't know what it is? Because maybe if you did know what it was, it'd be very disappointing. If I'm them, I would rather the Gommage be something that exists because I don't quite know the nature of it, and I've tried to figure out my best way to orient myself to it. People have chosen to fight it, people have chosen to embrace it. And again, I could say it's the same thing as like childhood cancer. There are people that have chosen to just be like, you know what, it sucks. People get cancer and they die. There's other people that dedicate their entire lives to learning more about cancer so that they can fight it and save people from experiencing it or from dying from it. Right? It's the same, it's essentially the same concept here. And then you're telling me that there's something up there that had all this time the power to prevent this all from happening in the first place, and it hasn't done that? What? Because in some ways, knowing this imposes purpose and existence on them. You exist, your entire existence is you are an NPC in a world that is being kept alive, being paint, so that Verso can still be represented to his grieving mother and father. That's you. It's like in Rick and Morty when that robot's like, what's my purpose? And it's like, you serve butter. And it's like, oh, Jesus. It's that moment for them. God damn. So this just sucks all around. I mean, it really does. In every possible way, this sucks all around. In part because existence in some ways sucks. There's good parts about it, and there's parts of it it's like, why do I even exist in the first place? Why do any of us exist? Why do I exist to sit here in front of a computer, play a video game, and talk to all of you? And why do you exist to sit here and watch me? Why does any of this happen? I mean, these existential questions can really just spiral people sometimes because, and then at the end of the day, it comes back to like, okay, well, we do got to work with what we got. I do exist. I do have things that are in front of me. I can influence certain things. I'm going to do my best to do that. But what is my actual locus of control? It's minuscule in the grand scheme of things. I've gotten very existential here, but this is wild. Like everybody here is not only going to be navigating some level of task and goal, it's put into an existential context. What are you actually trying to preserve here? If we choose to go to the monolith or we choose to try to fight this or destroy this painting, to what end? Why are we doing that? What's the purpose? What does my existence mean relative to that? What's the more important reality that exists? Is it the reality in the painting? Or is it the reality above the painting? Is all of this null and void because there's an extra level to the onion that's orchestrating it? Does sound get to have autonomy when the instruments are the one that's making it? Or is the instrumentation more important than the sound itself? Like, are the Sandra family in reality more important than the living, breathing constructs that exist in their paintings at this point? What is the hierarchy of existence? Is God's plan more important than my existence? What if I don't agree with God's plan? Oh, your daughter was killed in a tragic by getting hit by a bus when she was 3 years old. It's God's plan. What if I don't like that plan? I liked my daughter a lot. And a bus hit her when she was 3? That's God's plan? Why is that more important than my existence? My pain? I mean, these are the questions that this is asking. This is wild shit. I could diatribe on this for another 3 hours, but I'm not going to do that. This is really fascinating stuff. So now we have grief, now we have existentialism, now we have the nature of existence. Who would actually say that to someone? People say that shit all the time. Wow. All right. Well. Apparently next episode going to be a camp episode. I appreciate y'all being here. Thanks for watching this. Please keep the... I know I'm speculating on a lot of shit. There's a lot of stuff happening at 1,000 miles an hour. Please don't post spoilers in comments. I really do appreciate you all indulging me on this. I don't read the YouTube comments, so I'm not... It doesn't really matter to me as much. It still matters to me in a conceptual level and the principle of it, but I don't read them right now because people have been not good. My team has informed me. But, you know, let me know what you think of the game and my thoughts on this. I by the way, I don't claim to be right on this stuff, right? Like, I'm just one guy. This is just my brain and how I'm processing what's happening, and there's a lot going on. This is a pretty wild playthrough. But I'm happy to be playing it, and I'm glad that so many of you are interested in what I have to say about it. So, thank you very much for engaging with this. Do leave a thumbs up, leave a comment, check out my other playthroughs. I'm serious. If you want more of this type of content, I really suggest watch my Silent Hill playthrough, especially if you're waiting for another episode to come out. Watch my oh my god, what's the other one I shot? Oh, and watch the Beginner's Guide, because those two playthroughs I think supplement a lot of what I'm saying here, and there's a lot here. What are your thoughts before you end the stream? Have you not been listening to me talk for the last 20 minutes? Did you mute me? What? Go back and watch the last hour and a half, I guess. Oh my god. All right. I appreciate you all immensely. If you are binging, I will see you right here at the start of the next episode. If you're waiting for the next episode to come out, I will get it out to you as soon as I can. I appreciate you all immensely. I'll see you in part 27. Goddamn. Bye-bye.